Michael D. Molinaro. I work at BioReference Laboratories Incorporated in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer and Vice President. So the lessons learned from the Republican National Convention from 2012 are basically that you have had a short amount of time to do this in. Now, regardless of the short amount of time in which we did this in, we still made this very successful. The compression of time required more effort, more often being performed, as opposed to a longer amount of time we could spend more time planning and taking our time to communicate with all the stakeholders. So when we're talking about communications to the government or the federal government, state and local organizations, law enforcement agencies, during a large global event or a national public event like the Republican National Convention or Democratic National Convention, one of the things that you have to worry about is how are you going to communicate to these government agencies and these law enforcement agencies. So you really need to have your plan in place. You really need to understand what you're going to do and what you're going to bring to the table so that you can build an agenda so that you can bridge a gap between the speak of that organization and what you're actually going to do as a corporation. What usually lends itself is the fact that I came from the military, so I can speak their language. Very often they would speak in terms that most of my peers, corporate peers, wouldn't understand, in which case I understood what they were talking. You would use terms like TOC, Tactical Operations Center, AO, your area of operations, DOD, Department of Defense. Civilians don't understand some of these terms, and those are simple terms. There are some more complicated ones. So regarding scenario testing or scenario operations, that's what we did. We put together teams, or we just say theoretical hunt teams, and what you do is you put scenarios on the table. What would an attacker do? What would a defender do? What would the executives do? Who would you talk to, and how would you handle the actual event when it does occur? So we do a lot of scenario testing before large national public events, which leads us to come away with things that we can do better. And that's part of the risk management plan. When you do the risk management plan, scenario planning is something that you do at large scale. I use scenario planning a lot for events like that. And that wasn't the only event that I've ever done of that magnitude or size. In the defense of a large organization, or any organization for that matter, what you're doing is you're not doing just tools. You're not doing just people, and you're not just doing planning. You have to put all of them together. There's people, process, planning, and tools or technology. The idea is to mix them together in the right order so that you use them correctly. You want to collect information, but then when you collect that information, you have to do something with that information. And then there's a command and control process. The command and control is sending it to the right legal people, making sure executives know what you found, making sure that the information that you got was actually correct. One thing I learned in the military was first assessments and the first pieces of information coming in were often wrong. They were incorrect. And if you just went and used the information that you got on first assessments, you would be in trouble. You have to confirm.